Hello and welcome to Update X, where I talk about what's been going on in the world of video games over the past week. Uploaded every Monday morning on YouTube and podcast platforms. I'm your host, Brennan Reshitar, at The Only Resh on Twitter and basically everywhere else. Today is your update 10.3 for October 19th, 2020, where I'll be talking about the PS5 UI reveal we finally got, the Xbox Series X launch lineup, updates from some upcoming games, and more. But first, I wanted to tell you all that I wrote a whole article about the PS5 UI reveal. And I've been trying a few different things with the games industry this year, one being this podcast. And recently I've been thinking of getting into the written aspect of games journalism. So I tried my hand at writing an article about that, and it would really mean a lot if you wanted to check it out and give me any feedback on it. I posted that on gameskinny.com, and you can search for my name, Brandon Reshitar, spelled R-E-S-H-E-T-A-R. And I'll also put it in the description of the episode. I posted it last Thursday, and it has to get reviewed by the website editors before it goes public, which makes sense, but it's still not done yet, and hopefully it'll be up by the time you'll hear this episode. But that's enough self-promotion for now. Let's jump into the news, starting with the PS5 UI reveal. And it was kind of a surprise post on YouTube from PlayStation last week, on Wednesday I think it was. And I'm going to go over the coolest new features, but if you want a full breakdown, check out that article I wrote on gameskinny.com. The video is about 11.5 minutes long. There are plenty of awesome new features in the PS5 UI, and I'm very excited about it. And first off, I just want to say how much I appreciate the quickness of the UI. With my PS4 Slim has such a slow UI, and navigating the home screen or quick menu feels like such a pain because of how sluggish it can be. So the PS5 is going to be such a smoother experience, and I can't wait for it. And when you start the console, talking about the PS5 again, from rest mode, you are immediately in the game. It doesn't even go to the home screen first. So you just turn it on, your game pops up with a control center laying over it. And the control center is the thing that pops up when you press the PlayStation button during gameplay. And it brings up cards and a little bar on the bottom. And that bar on the bottom has access to pretty much everything you need, like sound settings, friends that are online. A specific option down there that caught my attention was Switcher. They didn't talk about it in the video, they didn't click on it, but it had the icon of Sackboy on it, which was the game being played in the video. So my guess is that Switcher icon is PlayStation's version of Quick Resume that Xbox uses. And I think Switcher is a feature that could show you every game or application that is currently being suspended in the background, that you can switch to any of them from there, which I think would be pretty useful. Similar to Xbox's guide when you press the Xbox button and you see the tiles for your recently opened games and applications. I think that would be a great addition for PS5, and it would be very useful. And then we have a new thing called Activities, which in itself has a few new features. It only really applies to games that actually support them, which I think pretty much all PlayStation exclusives probably will support Activities. And a lot of bigger third-party next-gen games probably will as well. And each activity essentially represents a level or a mission in a game, and it shows you your current progress and it shows you estimated time remaining in that level. Estimated time remaining is pretty interesting because it is a personalized time estimate for you, and I'm assuming this takes the average times for levels in games and sees where you usually fit in that time frame, and then gives you its guess for how long it'll take you to get past certain levels. And I think it's a pretty cool feature. I just hope I don't end up getting competitive like I do with the ETA on my phone's GPS, where if I check the estimated time for a level and it says something like 20 minutes, and I go, nah, fuck that, I'll get it done in 12. And then I just end up trying to speedrun everything and missing all the side missions and all that I usually like to do. I do not want to end up doing that all the time. Also, the activity tile shows you the objectives for the level, which comes with another new feature called Game Help. And Game Help is only for PlayStation Plus users, and again only works on supported games. Basically, if you can't find a collectible or maybe can't defeat certain enemies or something like that, there will be text or video showing you where to go or what to do, so you don't have to go look up a guide on YouTube or an article or something like that. Which is nice to get rid of that task, because that can be annoying where you either can't find the right moment that you need help on in the game when you're looking on YouTube or IGN.com or anything like that. But on the other hand, it kind of hurts YouTube creators or websites like IGN that post those articles, because with PS5's Game Help, less people will be going to their channels for that information. And it sucks, and it's a really hard thing to balance, because this is what the industry does on occasion as we go forward in time. Random new features or changes happen and really messes up someone else's efforts to do the same thing that they could potentially have been doing for the past few years. and suddenly they're just not needed anymore because there's an easier feature on the PS5 like this, for example. But hopefully it doesn't become too much of a problem. I think a lot of people will still support the creators that they usually go to for help on things like that. And another new feature they showed with Game Help was picture-in-picture and side-by-side views, which either has the Game Help as a smaller screen overlaid on top of your gameplay so you can look at the help while you're still playing, which is nice, or as a side-by-side so you can see your whole gameplay screen and it's not partially covered like it is in picture-in-picture mode. So one big focus for this presentation was keeping you in your games, which I am very happy to see. From the control center just sitting over gameplay and also party chat notifications being in the top right that you can interact with without getting in the way of gameplay. I just love that being a focus with the PS5 UI is not having you taken out of your games for any reason that we've seen so far. And another new feature is share screen. And here you can share your gameplay with other people in your party so they can watch it in that picture-in-picture mode like the Game Help. And so you can see their gameplay while you're playing your own game, which is pretty interesting. And I've seen a lot of people say they aren't excited for this feature because they don't see when they would ever use it, but there are a couple scenarios where I think I will be using this. One of them being that I talk a lot about games with my friend Mason, and he often asks me how a game is before he buys it because I buy a lot of my games right away and he waits sometimes. And this way, instead of him looking up gameplay that might not show everything he was looking for, I can pull up the game, share my screen with him, and show him everything he wants to know, and he can ask me specific questions that I can go navigate for him and have him look at, which is pretty sweet, actually. And the other scenario was if one of us is playing a game that either doesn't support the Game Help feature, or we just don't want to use Game Help, we can help each other with share screen. So let's say he needs help. He can share his screen with me to show me where he's stuck at, which is also better than your friend trying to explain to you where they are over text or something and you just don't understand what part they're talking about. And I can tell him what to do from there, or I can share my screen with him and show him what to do from there that I've already done. So I think share screen will be a really fun feature actually for just talking to your friends about the similar games and showing them things there. And also with that picture-in-picture, you can move it around your screen just in case it blocks a certain part of your game. And then they showed the actual home screen of the PS5, and I really like how it's set up. There is a Games and Media tab, so you don't have to use the dumb TV and video app like the PS4 has. But they haven't showed the Media tab yet, so we will have to see how much better it is whenever we get a look at that. I'm assuming we'll get a look at it before launch. Also, the PlayStation Store is fully integrated into the home screen now, so we don't have to open the PS Store app like the PS4, which is also a great move. Everything is just so much quicker, and it's going to make the experience of using the PS5 so much better than using the PS4 as far as the user interface goes. And the last feature I'll talk about with it is speech dictation, where you go to type a message or put a caption on a tweet you're sharing from your PlayStation or anything like that, and the keyboard pops up where we usually have to type using a D-pad, which is annoying and takes forever. But since the DualSense controller has a microphone built into it, we can basically use it like we use talk-to-text on smartphones, which will save so much time from trying to type things out like we have been for years. And this is going to be a very nice quality of life upgrade for next gen. And we can probably use our headsets too for the speech dictation, but they just talked about the controller in this video. And that's pretty much all the big stuff they showed in that video. I think we will see another video or two showing some more of the UI before launch on November 12th. Maybe next week or the week after. I mean, those are the only options really, so. And going on from that, we've got the Series X launch lineup. So we've kind of known what games are going to launch with the Series X, but now there is an officially confirmed list from Microsoft, so we know every single game that will be releasing alongside the Series X and Series X. Series X and Series S, sorry, I'm never going to get that right. And honestly, I think this list could be a bit better. As far as quantity goes, there is a good number, just over 30. And you could say there is something for everyone here, which there is. And most of them will be a part of Smart Delivery, meaning if you buy it on Xbox One, you will get the next-gen version for free. And a good chunk of them will be coming to Game Pass as well. So I'm going to go over the list quick. Again, I think it could be a little bit better as far as... I'll talk about it again once I get done listing all of them. So we've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Borderlands 3, Bright Memory 1.0, Cuisine Royale, Dead by Daylight, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, Dirt 5, Enlisted, Evergate, The Falconeer, Fortnite, Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, Gears Tactics, Grounded, King Oddball, Maneater, Manifold Garden, NBA 2K21, Observer System Redux, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Planet Coaster, Sea of Thieves, Tetris Effect Connected, The Tourist, War Thunder, Warhammer Chaos Bane Slayer Edition, Watch Dogs Legion, WRC 9 FIA World Rally Championship, Yakuza Like a Dragon, and Yes, Your Grace. So, there are a few games in there that I've never heard of before, like Enlisted and Evergate, and some that are listed as launch titles, which I think they really shouldn't be, like Fortnite, which I get it, the game's going to be there at launch and will probably be enhanced in some way, but so will a ton of backwards compatible games. So I don't like when Xbox or PlayStation or anyone really lists games like that in their launch lineup. It's really just to fluff up their numbers to say they have more launch titles, which I don't see the reason for them to do that either, because they've been touting thousands of games playable at launch with backwards compatibility and all that. So I don't know why they're trying to list games like Fortnite and like Gears 5 like their launch titles when they've been out for, a decent amount of time already. So again, like Fortnite, Gears 5, Forza Horizon 4, Borderlands 3, Dead by Daylight, like those games are already out. We don't really consider, most of us don't really consider those to be launch titles. And so they've definitely got variety in their lineup, but personally I'm much more excited for the PS5 launch lineup. Partly because I like most of those games better, and the other part because those are games that are actually launching on that day, like Spider-Man Miles Morales, Sackboy Big Adventure, Demon's Souls, Destruction All-Stars, Godfall, and like one or two other ones, I think. And it doesn't help that Halo Infinite got delayed out of the launch window, but that was a good decision for the game anyway, and that's a whole separate conversation. And going on from that, we've got some more details about Miles Morales that we got from a Game Informer cover story recently. I'm grabbing the details from an IGN article, though, by Matt T.M. Kim. And the details include new gameplay additions, powers, suits, and boss fights. So one attack we've seen previously is the Venom Punch, which is an electrically charged attack. And personally, I don't like that they called it Venom Punch, because in any Spider-Man context, Venom means the symbiote to me, so that just throws me off when they say stuff like Venom Punch. But to use Venom abilities, you need to fill up a Venom meter that charges similarly to Peter Parker's Focus meter from the 2018 Spider-Man game. And also like the 2018 game, you can use stealth when going into a combat situation, staying on high ground and picking off enemies that way. But a new thing in Miles Morales that we saw in the first gameplay footage is his temporary camouflage, which lets him turn partially invisible. This will let players turn a standard combat encounter into a stealth encounter even after the enemy sees them, which is a pretty cool addition, I think. And now for a topic that many people have been wondering about: resolution and frames per second. So a huge conversation around next-gen consoles and next-gen games is what kind of resolution and frames are we going to get? Are we going to get 4K 60 on a consistent basis? And the deal with Miles Morales is they will have two modes on the PS5, not the PS4. These are only PS5 modes, obviously. A performance mode with 4K resolution at 60 frames per second, and a fidelity mode with 4K resolution at 30 FPS. The fidelity mode having ray tracing and other visual effects that will not be available in the performance mode. But the thing I liked about this is both modes are 4K, so right off the bat we don't have to worry about lower resolutions for those, which is awesome. And I feel like I'll keep switching back and forth while I play, because I'm a sucker for graphics and I want ray tracing, but I also want that 60 FPS, and I'm not going to be able to just play one way through the whole game because I just like graphics too much for that. And also load times have been completely eliminated from the game, and we saw one example of this in some gameplay recently. So if you don't remember, in the 2018 Spider-Man game, when you would go into strongholds, there would be a loading screen before and after to get back into the open world city. And in the Miles Morales footage, he is inside one of those strongholds, and to exit, he just web zips out through a vent and instantly propelling himself back into the city. So not a load screen needed for that. You just go into the stronghold, do whatever fight scene you have to do, zip right out back into the city. No loading screens. And it's another great thing to see. Next gen is going to be so sweet. I cannot wait to stop waiting in load screens. And as for boss fights, I don't want to talk about specific bosses that Insomniac talked about, because even as obvious as they may seem, some people will still want to find out themselves, so I won't say it here. But something I will say is Insomniac said Miles Morales won't be facing as many villains from the Spider-Man universe as Peter Parker faced in that 2018 game. Which kind of makes sense, since this game will be a bit shorter than that one. And going on from that, we've also got some new Assassin's Creed Valhalla details. And not as much new info on this game, but there has definitely been more talk recently about it. And I'm grabbing details from a PC Gamer article. Most of the reactions I've seen have actually been either bad or generally uninterested, which is interesting to me. And personally, I'm still very excited because I just love Vikings and Norse mythology, so this game kind of just caters to me anyway, so I'm going to be getting it regardless. And PC Gamer said they hope the final game is more surprising, although they did enjoy the 3 hours they played. They said, quote, Valhalla retains classic Assassin's Creed climbing and stealth, but I found myself thrust into combat or picking off enemies with a bow far more than going in for assassinations. The stealth feels like a holdover from a different game, but Valhalla's combat, having more stuff in it than Origins or Odyssey, doesn't necessarily make it more engaging over the long term either. And that part's kind of sad to hear, and I do have some thoughts on Ubisoft and the Assassin's Creed franchise. The main reason I'm excited for Assassin's Creed Valhalla is I'm excited to have an RPG played as a Viking, not because it's an Assassin's Creed game. And many Assassin's Creed fans have been wanting sequels to be more like the early games in the franchise, which is totally understandable because the assassin mechanics in those games were damn good. And I think another studio, getting into my final thoughts on this, I think another studio should take over Assassin's Creed and make it what those fans want it to be, generally speaking. And I think Ubisoft should just focus on what they're getting good at, which is making action RPGs taking place in various time periods and regions. Because the Assassin's Creed games being treated as just that, and these Viking, Greek, Egyptian RPGs being treated as immersive action RPGs would make both of those much better. Because right now, Ubisoft are trying to make these Assassin's Creed titles both. They're trying to make good action RPGs set in those time periods while also making it an Assassin's Creed game, and I think both being made separately would be better for both. But I'm not a dev, I'm not a game director or anything like that. That's just my opinion as a player who loves the Assassin's Creed games. But for now, that's just a dream because I don't see Ubisoft wanting to drop that Assassin's Creed headline for their games anytime soon. And back to the PC Gamer article, they also got to play some side quests, and according to them, you won't find side quests with the depth of The Witcher 3, for example, but you will find a lot of heart and humor. They seem worth the trouble, and you'll probably bump into them naturally through normal exploration. Natural gameplay and not having things feel forced or feel like more of a task than anything is good to hear. And that is the gist of the new Valhalla details, really. Just more people feeling uninterested, I guess, but I will still 100% be picking it up. Probably after Astro's Playroom and Miles Morales is when I'll probably be playing Valhalla. And the next story after that is Genshin Impact recoups development cost in 2 weeks. So if you don't know what Genshin Impact is, it is a free-to-play open-world RPG from a studio in China. And I'm grabbing info from another PC Gamer article by Jonathan Bowling. There are a few good statistics with this news. Genshin Impact has been the biggest ever global launch from a Chinese developer. And in just 12 days since its release, it has made upwards of $100 billion US. And the budget was reported to be in the $100 million range. So the game might be making money on top of development costs already. And Daniel Ahmad, who is a prominent Asian games industry commentator and business analyst, who also posts a lot of really good info on Twitter, so follow him there at ZhugeEX, ZhugeEX. He expects the game will soon have made over $150 million, so the revenue for that game seems like it could start going up even faster soon. And it's always interesting to see free-to-play games making a ton of money, and the way Genshin Impact makes its money is with that gacha-style gambling loot boxes, and of course loot boxes are the reason. I did get a chance to try it out the other day, and I only put a couple hours into it, but I did like the style of the game. The combat was fun, the exploration's pretty cool. I just dug the whole vibe of the game, really. And I only ran into the loot box deal once, and that was the game introducing it to me. And the reason I only played for a couple hours and stopped after that is between the loot boxes and just the amount of content in the game, like characters, weapons, gear, crafting, and all that stuff, it just felt like it was more complex than I really wanted to deal with in a game right now. But that is a great thing for players who want to get that deep into Genshin Impact, so I would definitely recommend trying it out, especially since it's free. I played it on PS4, so you can get it there. And according to another PC Gamer article by Steven Messner, the game isn't constantly in your face asking you to spend money like other mobile games, and it hands out free loot boxes at a fairly generous pace, so don't think it's going to be like other microtransaction games that are like, hey, spend money in this game, like buy this loot box, buy this microtransaction, buy this whatever. It's very calm about it, I guess, and not in your face, which is good to hear. And that's it for the news. Going on to gaming deals. Xbox has an Xbox Studios Hall of Fame sale with up to 60% off the best games from Xbox Game Studios. That's on games like Sea of Thieves, Forza Horizon 4, the Ori games, Halo games, Gears 5, and more until October 20th. And PlayStation has a Halloween sale with up to 80% off games like Death Stranding, Days Gone, Doom Eternal, The Witcher 3, Devil May Cry 5, and more until November 3rd. PlayStation's deal of the week is 35% off NBA 2K21, which is interesting since the game came out last month, and that deal ends October 22nd. On Nintendo Switch, you can get Tangle Tower for 30% off as it hits its first anniversary. That deal ends October 24th. And going into upcoming releases via Metacritic, Amnesia Rebirth releases October 20th for PS4, Doom Eternal: The Ancient Gods Part 1 releases October 20th for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Pokemon Sword and Shield: The Crown Tundra releases October 22nd for Switch. Disc Room releases October 22nd for Switch and PC. Torchlight 3 releases October 22nd for Switch. Bless Unleashed, which is a free-to-play MMORPG from Bandai Namco, releases October 22nd for PS4. And it actually looks pretty decent. I might check that one out. Apparently it's been on Xbox for a few months already, and I do want to check it out, so I might do that soon. And Transformers Battlegrounds releases October 23rd for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. And Cadence of Hyrule: Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring The Legend of Zelda Complete Edition, why is that name so long, releases October 23rd for Switch. And going into what have I been playing, I started Ghost of Tsushima Legends that finally came out on Friday. And I haven't played as much as I wanted to because I have to make sure my friends are online, because you can matchmake with random players. I just don't like to do that because it's much better when you have a friend to cooperate with. But this, again, free expansion is so damn good. Fantastic customization, fun combat. You can strategize with your friends. They got higher difficulties once you get through the story missions the first time. There's like 10, 12-ish story missions that take like 10-ish minutes each. But it's more of a replayability grind with that, and getting better gear and customizing your play style and choosing which one of the 4 classes and stuff like that. This update is so good, and I want to play this like nonstop now. It's been so long since I've had good co-op gameplay, and I love Ghost of Tsushima Legends. If you have Ghost of Tsushima, definitely get the Legends update and try it out. If you don't have Ghost of Tsushima, you should get it anyway for the single player portion of it, but also you have another reason to get it now with the Legends update. And also I was playing Genshin Impact, like I said before. Honestly, probably won't get back into it because it's just a very busy game, but I would still recommend people give it a shot anyway because you may love it. And Rocket League, of course. The grind is slowing down for the challenges on that one because I got to look at the stage 2 of the season challenges, and that grind just looks like way too much, so I'll probably spend a lot less time on Rocket League for the rest of the season. But I'll still get into it once in a while. And Fall Guys again, of course, still having fun with Season 2. Some great fun there with friends. So this has been your update 10.3 for October 19th, 2020. Thank you so much for listening on podcast platforms and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast feed and to the channel on YouTube so you don't miss any gaming news. And check out that article I wrote on GameSkinny.com about the PS5 UI by looking up my name on the website, Brandon Reshetar, Reshetar. And let me know what you think in the comments of the article, or hit me up on Twitter with any feedback at TheOnlyResh. Also follow the show's Twitter page and Instagram page at UpdateXShow so you can get updates about the show. Thank you so much again for listening. Have an awesome week.